Salam sejahtera, anda bersama saya Rizal Zulkapli dan ini Niaga AWANI. Pada Jumaat ini, Bank Negara akan mengumumkan keluaran dalam negara kasar suku ketiga. Ini akan memberikan petunjuk kepada prestasi ekonomi negara bagi tempoh Julai ke September tahun ini.
Dalam tinjauan yang dilakukan Bloomberg, secara purata, pakar ekonomi menjangka KDNK negara akan tumbuh pada kadar 4.3% untuk suku ketiga. Unjuran tertinggi adalah 4.8% dan terendah pada 3.7%. Pada suku kedua, kadar pertumbuhan KDNK negara dicatatkan pada 4.9% disokong ekspor yang lebih tinggi, pemulihan output komoditi dan perbelanjaan sektor swasta. Pada awal November lepas, Kementerian Perdagangan Antarabangsa dan Industri melaporkan jumlah dagangan Malaysia jatuh 2.7% pada September tahun ke tahun. Ini susulan ekspor pada September yang jatuh pada kadar tertinggi bulan ke bulan sejak Oktober 2016. UOB Research yang mengunjurkan ekonomi negara akan tumbuh pada kadar 4.1% untuk suku ketiga. Menurut UOB Research, ini susulan pengeluaran sektor perlombongan, pembinaan dan pengeluaran yang perlahan. Dalam masa yang sama, UOB turut menjangka Bank Negara akan menurunkan kadar faedah kepada 2.75% pada suku pertama 2020. Pada suku pertama 2019, ekonomi negara tumbuh pada kadar 4.5%. Bank Negara pada Jumaat lepas turut mengumumkan penurunan nisbah keperluan rizab berkanun daripada 3.50% kepada 3% berkuat kuasa 16 November ini. Ini diambil untuk memastikan mudah tunai yang mencukupi dalam sistem keuangan domestik. Bank Negara susulan Mesyuarat Jawatan Kuasa Dasar Monetari pada awal November menyatakan pertunjukan ekonomi terkini masih sejajar dengan jagaan menandakan kegiatan ekonomi berkembang sederhana pada suku ketiga. Bank Negara menjangkakan pada masa hadapan pertumbuhan dijangka terus dipacu oleh pembelanjaan sektor swasta yang teguh.
Dan untuk membincangkan unjuran ekonomi negara pada suku ketiga tahun ini, kita bersama dengan Ketua Pakar Ekonomi Alliance Bank, Manokaran Motain, dan kita teruskan perbincangan dalam bahasa Inggeris. Thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Motain. First of all, let's look at the expected or the outlook for the GDP in the third quarter of 2019. Bloomberg has stated that the range given by analysts is from 4.8 to 3.7. Average is about 4.3, and people believe that it will not grow, or analysts believe that it will not grow beyond 4.9% as we've seen in the second quarter of this year. Do you believe the expansion will be slower in the third quarter? Why?
Okay. In my opinion, in our research, we have seen that there are moderation in certain sectors that is pointing towards the moderation of GDP growth in the third quarter. Mm-hmm. We expect about 4.5 to 4.7%. Okay, more towards 4.5, and you can see that export has come down, and then industrial production also weak, but thank God it didn't slip further. Yesterday, day before yesterday, it came out, IPI was around 1.7%, same as the previous month and all that. So, if you look at the second quarter, second quarter was a different season. At that time, the trade war was not at the peak. So, the third quarter, there was a lot of new tariffs came in and all that. So, you know, that on the US and the China side, both are fighting on that. So the trade sanction was on a stronger mode and all that. So that has sort of like contributed towards slowing economy as well as slowing trade activities. And that we, knowing that that we are open economy, we cannot avoid that slowdown coming into our system.
The MITI has also reported that the trade figures for September has gone down slightly. Is this expected because of the trade war as well?
Yes,
is it an effect of that?
The trade side, especially the exports, have gone down slightly because of the slower demand from the slower overseas demand. Okay, so but having said that, things are now we are seeing some kind of a clearer picture. Okay, both parties have recently came out with a statement that they will soon conclude a fair deal, okay, whereby we expect all these the new tariffs supposed to come in on the December 15 may not happen. Okay. That's a good news.
Okay, but despite that, President Trump just last night threatened a new escalation of a trade war with China, saying that US will increase its tariff just in case no truce was reached between Beijing and Washington. We see uncertainties on a daily, weekly basis. Is this also affecting the sentiment of the global economy right now?
Certainly, yes. But for me, I look at it, there is a personality clash there, between the US president and the Chinese president. So these two people, especially the US president, every time he has got some other ulterior motive for what, the market has sort of like has gone up quite fair, quite high now, US Dow Jones. And if you look at it, some kind of bad news like this, each time Trump tweak something, it hits the Dow Jones first. So that followed by all the other rest of the regions and global markets. So actually, I just came out just about a couple of days ago. Both parties came out and said that we are going to, come out with a fair deal, and that will sort of like conclude the trade uncertainties amicably. And all those new tariffs supposed to come in on the December 15 will not materialize. So that was giving us some kind of confidence, that things are looking good now.
Speaking of, let's just come back to the third quarter growth expectation, to be announced by Bank Negara on Friday. Is it a cyclical thing for the third quarter to be slightly lower than probably the fourth quarter, or is this what we're seeing only this year?
No. That's always the case. Because fourth quarter you have got the festive demand, the Christmas and all that. Okay, and also the school-going activities, back to school. So there will be more spending, consumption spending during the final quarter. So it is normal like that. But having said that, this quarter, I look at it, a lot of infrastructure spending has been kicked off, okay, and jump-started, and that is becoming a fiscal stimulus for the economy overall. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why at Alliance Bank we think that the growth is not going to be very weak to trigger any rate cut this year. Okay, so our overall full year growth we are looking at 4.5. Okay. And 4.5 in the third quarter. For the for the fourth quarter, we may see a slight rebound there, 4.7%. So overall, we should clock in about 4.5% of GDP growth.
Okay, let's take a short break. When we come back, let's talk about the recent decision by Bank Negara not to lower the OPR rate. But also, on the other hand, Bank Negara has reduced the statutory reserve requirement, SRR ratio, to 3.0%. Will this maybe spur spending? There is, with that lowering of the SRR, it will provide about 7.4 billion liquidity into the market. Let's talk about that when we come back. Kita kembali berehat seketika, kembali selepas ini. Bertemu kembali kita bersama dengan Ketua Pakar Ekonomi Alliance Bank Manukaran Motain untuk membincangkan berkenaan dengan unjuran KDNK bagi suku ketiga 2019. Manukaran, let's look at the OPR rate. The Bank Negara maintained the OPR rate at its recent monetary policy meeting at 3.0%. On the other hand, it reduced the statutory reserve requirement ratio to 3.0%, and this will probably provide about 7.4 billion of liquidity into the market. Where will this money go to? Do you think it will go to consumers, private sector? Where will this money go to?
Okay, actually, if you look at it, the banks, I don't think banks are trapped in a liquidity crisis or anything like that. This is more towards cost of, the lowering of SRR, more towards reducing the cost of lending. Okay. In other words, OPR is one in the equation. OPR a direct impact. The moment you cut OPR, your lending rate will come down. Okay. And but on the other hand, SRR is also another factor in the equation of to determine your lending rate. Okay, so in this case now, lower SRR means lower cost of doing business, lower cost of funds. Okay, so in other words, banks individually can undertake on their own to reduce the lending rate so that funds can be channeled towards the consumers, especially if you look at it like property and also some on the personal loan and all that. Especially the affordable housing. The government is looking at how to encourage all banks to to lend out. But again, to me, I look at it, all this is not going to, just this thing is going to make your affordable housing successful. There's more issues to look at. Okay. So I look at it like, give them more avenues. As a guy who has been working for 3 years, certainly he may not have the down payment, to pay and all that. So, in other words, EPF can come out with a strategy that, like in Singapore, they can allow them to use the first few years of their contribution towards the EPF. They can contribute towards the purchase of the property. What's the point? My opinion is this. I may think in a different way. I look at it this way. What's the point of you have a big amount of money when you retire, but you suffer all along? 30 years of working, you can't even have afford a proper housing and all that. Very important, that especially those graduates, undergraduates, those graduates come out to the workforce, they come to KL to work and all that. Very seldom they get a decent pay, and also the cost of living in KL is very high. Especially, I understand that one room in KL cost about 600 ringgit. You look in terms of percentage, is a lot. What about the food money? Food money is the one which is supposed to be the biggest amount in a consumer expenditure. But in this case, your rental also is very high.
Speaking of which, MIER has also released its consumer confidence index, which has gone down from 93 points in June of 2019 to 84 points in September of 2019. Do you think all this discussion about cost of living is making the consumers a bit more cautious when it comes to spending, when it comes to purchasing, when it comes to making big decisions in the third quarter of this year?
Yes. I believe the major thing that determines your consumer expenditure is future expansion, or future growth in the economy. And also your market activities, investment, okay? Investment, if a person has got some kind of investment, if a lower market activity, Bursa Malaysia or be it finance, monetary side and all that, you can see that the returns for them will be lower. So you don't have money, to spend like before. So they cautious. The cautious stance is the one which is, reflected in the
mere confidence.
Actually, those surveys are projecting what is going to happen in 6 months. So people like us, we look at it and we accordingly, we adjust our future economic growth.
With so much dependence on consumption or domestic consumption, will this affect the KDNK or GDP in probably the fourth or the first quarter of next year?
It is. I believe if the U.S. trade war, U.S.-China trade war is not resolved amicably, is not concluded by this quarter, probably we will see the first quarter of next year, say nothing has been done, that Trump is saying that I will still, impose a tariff increase and all that. So if that comes in, it's going to be even worse, in the first quarter. So we believe that that more challenging period is first half of next year.
Let's also look at the annual inflation rate, which has fallen to, which fell to about 1.1% in September 2019, from 1.5% in the previous month, which is in August. This is quite a drop from 1.5% to 1.1%. We used to see the inflation rate at about 2 to 3% or to 2%. Why are we looking at 1% inflation rate in Malaysia right now? People not spending? Is the private consumption a bit slow this year?
The reflection is more towards the petroleum products, petroleum price. Although at 2.08, at least it has been kept constant for the last few months and all that. So that is one thing, so the petroleum prices are not going to go up. But if you're comparing that 1.1% is an annual rate of change. You're comparing prices about a year ago. A year ago, you already seen the high inflation, about 2 to 3%. So that price and now it has not so really inch up. So that's why you see about 1%. But again, another reason could be on the, that kind of a low level, a benign rate of inflation, is also because of spending. When people are not spending, when the aggregate domestic demand is not strong, is not, so in other words, a simple language, I put it this way. More suppliers, less demand, the prices are dropping now. Likewise, if there is more demand, less suppliers or the same suppliers, you will, every retail traders will there is a tendency for them to get the best price for their product. So they will increase. So that's why the inflation during a very good time, rate of growth, when it is very strong, you have a strong inflation. Again, coming back to 1%, I will caution the people that this is not going to be forever. Do you think
the fuel subsidy rate being removed next year, that will probably spur the inflation rate again?
You are right. Actually, the moment they, on the 1st of Jan, if they remove the fuel subsidy, each and those in M40 and above, they are going to pay about 30 cents extra for their petrol. RON 95 will not cost 2.08. So majority of them, the consumers of RON 95 at the moment, are the other category, not the B40. B40 is very little only. Those, how many of them got the motorbike, cars and all that? Those got motorbike also, less spending only. So those people are taken care. But those in the other categories, M40 and U20, are the one T20, are the one will be affected, and as a result of that, we are predicting a higher inflation for next year, 2.5%.
Okay, let's look at the business condition index also released by MIE, which has gone down from 94.2% in June of 2019 to 69 points in September of 2019. So 94.2 to 69 points. That's quite a huge drop, yeah? Why are we seeing this? Is this because of the trade war sentiment in the global economy, or what is happening?
I think the global economy is moderating faster, okay, moderating faster, and as such that, the businesses, they have to get some kind of guidance, forward guidance. So they think that all these uncertainties, they're going to drag, not to forget about this Brexit problem also. Whether that can be resolved or not, and they are going to have an election. All these are uncertainties. So the businesses, they predict that the next year will be challenging, so they sort of like reduce your business now itself.
Will they probably
business investment?
Will they probably increase their investments next year when things are a bit more certain?
When it is certain already, then the investment will come in.
Okay.
So that's why if you see the last quarters, although the growth was 4.9%, look at the private investment. Very pathetic, very slow. Although we have a report saying that FDI has been very good and all that, but it's not been reflected in the private investment.
We have about 2 minutes left. I want to touch a bit on what you said last weekend, or what you wrote last weekend. You're saying that there has to be a more holistic approach to solving the unemployment issue of in Malaysia, especially with regards to youth. What do you suggest? Because I think you mentioned TVET, but that is already happening. But should there be more looking into the TVET itself, matching what they teach in school with what the industry wants?
Actually, the current problem is there is a mismatch of degrees produced and the industry's needs. So there is a mismatch, a strong, this is the reason why we have youth unemployment so high. At the moment, although we can say that the country is having only 3.3% unemployment, do you know what is the figure for the youth unemployment? It's about 11%. Okay, 3 times the number. So we need to tackle that. How to do it? We have to revamp the curriculum. Tertiary education at the moment is 3 years of education. Just university. After that, you let the industry to take in all these people. No way. Okay, we need to have a total revamp. I would suggest that my idea is 3 years of university education and 1 year of industry education, industry training, industrial training. In other words, the university grad will spend about 4 years. So there, the first year of industrial training, where the government can come in with the reason incentives to be given, okay, you can include that in the 1 year of education, okay? In 1 year of industrial training, you pay them.
Okay, thank you very much Manukara Motain, Ketua Pakar Ekonomi Alliance, membincangkan berkenaan dengan unjuran ekonomi untuk suku ketiga 2019, dan kita akan lihat sama ada unjuran 4.5% tersebut akan seperti yang akan diumumkan oleh Bank Negara pada hari Jumaat ini. Dan ini adalah Niaga Awani untuk pagi ini. Teruskan bersama kami di Astro Awani, berita segenap dimensi. Salam hormat.